I'm Dr. Shefali Mishra, Associate Professor, Department of Psychology, Jesus and Mary College, University of Delhi. In the previous section, we were discussing about the revisions made to the traditional view of science and the contributions of notable figures like Popper and Kuhn. We were examining the view of Popper and how he posed the idea of falsification to test a scientific theory. To Popper, a scientific theory must make risky predictions that could be incorrect. Besides vagueness, another major problem with Freud's and Adler's theories, for which they were criticized by Popper, is that they focus more on postdiction, that is, explaining phenomena after they have already occurred rather than predicting them. Due to their lack of specificity or focus on postdiction, these theories do not make any bold predictions and are not at risk of being proven false. Therefore, they are not scientific in Popper's view. Popper suggests that scientific progress is driven by a theory's incorrect predictions rather than its correct ones, because changes will come to the existing theory only when it is making incorrect predictions and not able to address the problems at hand. So, falsification was employed by Popper to distinguish between scientific and non-scientific theories, but not between useful and useless ones. So, even though it was a good, a concept that helped in discriminating between what is scientific and what is non-scientific, it could not discriminate between what is relevant, what is useful for society, for the social world, for human beings, and what is useless. Several psychological theories may fail Popper's falsifiability test due to their generality or reliance on postdiction rather than prediction. But even though they lack scientific accuracy, these theories can still be useful. For example, Freud's and Adler's theories fit in this category because they are able to answer many questions related to human behavior, personality, and overall existence. The next notable figure in the area who made revisions to the traditional view of science is Thomas Kuhn. It was previously widely believed that the scientific method ensured objectivity and that science generated information in a consistent, progressive manner. It was believed that the world is made up of knowable truths, and by following scientific procedures, science could systematically approach those truths. Put simply, scientific activity was driven by the idea that when assessing scientific laws or theories, the main aim is to establish their correspondence with an external independent world. So, an independent world had to be there with whom, which the correspondence could be made. Thomas Kuhn transformed this traditional view of science by revealing it as a subjective enterprise. So, whereas the traditional view of science focuses on objective reality, objectivity, this view, which was proposed by Thomas Kuhn, saw science as subjective. According to Kuhn, in the physical sciences, most members commonly share one viewpoint. In the fields of physics or chemistry, for example, researchers generally hold similar assumptions or beliefs regarding their subject matter. Kuhn describes such widely accepted viewpoint as a paradigm. Kuhn defined paradigm as the entire constellation of beliefs, values, techniques, and so on shared by the members of a given scientific community. For scientists who adopt a paradigm, it becomes the lens through which they view and analyze the subject matter of their science. After a paradigm is accepted, the activities of people who embrace it revolve around examining the implications of that paradigm. Kuhn referred to such activities as normal science. Using a paradigm means exploring the problems outlined in the paradigm in detail and using the methods it recommends to explore those problems. A paradigm shapes the definition of a research problem and guides the search for a solution. Put simply, a paradigm influences all of the researcher's actions, so much so that researchers become emotionally involved in their paradigm, making it a significant part of their lives that is difficult to give up. Kuhn suggests that the emergence of a dominant scientific paradigm is a gradual process. Before a paradigm is established, a field of science usually experiences a pre-paradigmatic phase with various competing viewpoints. During this period, as described by Kuhn, a discipline is defined by multiple competing camps or schools. These circumstances persist until a school emerges as successful over its rivals and becomes a paradigm. At this point, the discipline becomes a science and a period of normal science begins. Scientific progress occurs as new paradigms replace old ones, leading to the generation of new normal science. Kuhn proposed that science is characterized by periods of normal science under a dominant paradigm, which is punctuated by revolutionary periods leading to the emergence of a new dominant paradigm. He described this as a paradigm shift. His ideas and notion of either this or that are quite appealing. So Kuhn viewed science as progressing through three clear stages. Number one, the pre-paradigmatic stage, where competing camps battle for control. So there are different perspectives prevailing in the area of that particular discipline, and they're trying to control each other and trying to put their view forward as the best one. Then we come to the second, that is the paradigmatic stage, where normal science occurs. That is, one paradigm dominates and wins over the others. And finally, the third stage, which is the revolutionary stage, during which an existing paradigm is displaced by another paradigm. Now, how does all this connect with psychology? Psychology is considered a pre-paradigmatic discipline by most of them, as it lacks a single widely accepted paradigm and instead has multiple competing schools or camps coexisting. For instance, in the field of psychology, there are various camps such as behaviorism, functionalism, cognitive psychology, psychoanalysis, evolutionary, and humanism. So, we can say that there are multiple paradigms which are operating at the same time, and this, according to Kuhn, would be a stage of pre-paradigmatic development of science. Some scholars view the current state as unfavorable and argue that psychology is ready to combine its various elements into a single unified paradigm. Some psychologists, however, argue that psychology is not a pre-paradigmatic discipline, but rather a discipline with multiple coexisting paradigms or research traditions. These psychologists have not experienced a Kuhnian revolution, and they do not see a need for one. Kuhn, however, himself acknowledged this and mentioned that his ideas about paradigms were not as applicable to the social sciences. So it may be true for natural sciences that the science development of science may pass through these three stages, but it is not true for social sciences, and this was accepted by Kuhn himself. On the other hand, the natural sciences have experienced numerous paradigm shifts. For instance, Einstein's theory of relativity in 1916 posed a significant challenge to Newton's theory of mechanics, which had been the dominant paradigm for 2 centuries. However, in the social sciences, paradigms can coexist simultaneously. Thus, we note that the word paradigm, popularized by Thomas Kuhn in his book The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, examined the history of natural sciences and pattern of activities that shape the progress of science. Kuhn first used the term paradigm to refer to a specific philosophical mindset. In educational research, the concept of paradigm refers to a researcher's perspective or worldview. Now let us see what is a research paradigm. Let us focus on the definition that psychology and other social sciences have to offer here. A paradigm can be seen as a collection of fundamental beliefs that deals with basic principles. It outlines a perspective that shapes how individuals view the world, their place within it, and the different relationships they can have with the world and its parts. These are general organizing frameworks for theory and research that includes basic assumptions, key issues, models of quality research, and methods for seeking answer. All researchers use a conceptual lens to analyze the methodological aspects of their research project and determine the research methods and data analysis techniques. So, this is all important part of conducting a research. A research paradigm, thus, can be seen as a method, structure, or system for conducting research. It assists in developing a research philosophy which then guides the research methodology. So we've seen that a paradigm represents a worldview or a set of fundamental assumptions that underlie and shape research. As researchers, we have to be able to understand and articulate beliefs about the nature of reality, what can be known about this reality, and how we go about attaining this knowledge. There are three fundamental questions before us, the answer to which reveal the basic beliefs that make it possible to distinguish between paradigms. These elements or the pillars of research paradigms are: number 1, ontology; number 2, epistemology; number 3, methodology; and number 4, methods. Now let us examine the meaning of each one of these. Number 1, the ontological question pertains to the nature of the world and what researcher can gain knowledge about in their surroundings. Ontology is the study of social reality and our assumptions about how we perceive the world and the nature of reality. Ontology is the study of our beliefs about reality. Researchers make assumptions which may be sometimes implicit about reality, its existence, and what can be known about it. Exploring the ontological question prompts researchers to investigate the nature of reality. Is there a single verifiable reality and truth, or are there multiple socially constructed realities? So this kind of questions are asked by the researcher before begins to conduct the research. Or another question related to the nature of reality could be, does the world consist of social order, or is it about constant changes? So what exactly is the nature of reality that I am going to study? So what is my view about, my perception, my idea about that reality? Second is epistemology. Epistemology refers to the knowledge of social or human reality and the different approaches to studying the world. Epistemology is the study of knowledge acquisition and validation in philosophy. How can we determine our understanding of the world? Epistemology is about this. Epistemology, more specifically, refers to the branch of philosophy that studies the nature of knowledge and the process by which knowledge is acquired and validated. The epistemology then is the knowledge about social or human reality. It is assumptions about best way to study the world. It could be objective or subjective approach to the social reality. So, validation of knowledge claims the relationship of the knower to what is knowable. How do we know what we know about this world around us? Thus, the epistemological aspect is concerned with how does the researcher relate to the subject of research. Number 3 is methodology. It is a disciplined approach to generating knowledge. The methodological question leads the researcher to inquire how the world should be studied. This question is centered on how we gain knowledge of the world. The researchers believe about the nature of the world to be studied, that is ontology, which is nature of the world that one believes in, and the possibility of obtaining objective knowledge, that is epistemology, influences the selection of methodology and methods. Now let us see what is method. The method or the methods are the means of collecting and analyzing data. Selection of methods depends on the design of the study and researchers' theoretical mindset. Now we will see how paradigms define research. Our theories or models of reality we use shape the questions we ask. We already have seen this. The problems we see, the methods we choose, the data we gather and analyze, and the policies and actions we take all are guided by the models of reality we have. Paradigms are perspective used to understand reality and guide research. It dictates the kind of questions that are considered valid, how they are addressed, and the framework in which they are understood. Social science includes various dominant paradigms, each offering distinct ontological and epistemological viewpoint. We will now explore common social scientific paradigms to help us understand thinking about how we should conduct our research. Social science research is guided by different philosophical perspectives. These may be classified as positivism, interpretivism, and critical realism. Positivism or positivist social sciences, as it is called, or we can also refer to as PSS in short form, is one of the three major approaches to social research that emphasizes discovering causal laws, careful empirical observation, and which values value-free research. Positivism is the approach of natural science. So, it is more related to study of cause and effect relationship. It focuses a lot on empirical observation, which is based on your sensory experiences, and it also considers research as value neutral or value free, where there is no space or scope for subjectivity or any kind of personal bias in research. So, we know that it is the approach of natural sciences. As when we were discovering the emergence of science, we saw that these are the points which was discussed under natural sciences. So, many assume that positivist approach is actually science, and there is no other science other than the positivist approach. It has a long history within the philosophy of science. Positivism refers to a branch of philosophy that rose to prominence during the early 19th century because of the works of the French philosopher Auguste Comte. He claimed that anything scientifically verified or logically proven can be considered as truth. So, positivism assumes that reality exists independently of humans, that is, there is no role of social construction, and the reality is controlled by unchangeable law. The world, in other words, is sum of observable, measurable, and quantifiable phenomena. This can be known through observation and experimentation. So, this is the view of the positivism. These researchers who believe in positivism favor accurate quantitative data, and they use experiments, surveys, and statistics. They emphasize on precise measurements and objective research. They test hypotheses by systematically analyzing numerical data from the measures. Applied researchers such as market researchers, policy analysts, and program evaluators are committed to positivism. Positivism reduces individuals to numerical values. It utilizes theoretical formulae that are unrelated to the practical experiences of individuals. Positivism asserts that there is a single scientific logic and that both social sciences and natural sciences employ the same methodology. Social sciences differ from natural sciences only due to their relatively new subject matter. That is what positivists believe in. According to their argument, social sciences will eventually reach the same level of advancement as physics one day. So, positivism can be seen as a systematic approach that integrates deductive reasoning with empirical data. Now, let us see what are the different elements in which they believe, which we see as the pillars of paradigm. So, the ontological position of positivists is that of realism. Positivists strive to understand the social world like the natural world. They adopt an essential orientation to reality because reality is real for them. It is existing out there and is waiting to be discovered. So, this is the view of reality that they take. The reality is a context-free domain, and the researchers will get similar conclusions regarding the phenomenon in different times and places. No complete understanding of the phenomenon can be obtained. In nature, there is a cause-effect relationship between phenomena, and once established, they can be predicted with certainty in the future. So, for positivists, the same applies to the social world. Empiricism and objectivism guide positivist social research. So, they believe that there is a real world out there whose characteristics can be observed, measured, and generalized in a way that come close to truth. Now, let us see the epistemological position of positivism. Positivists believe in objectivism. Reality is considered as objective and can be measured quantitatively. Researchers come in as objective observers to study phenomena that exist independently of them. They do not affect or disturb what is being observed. They use language and symbols to describe phenomena in their real forms as they exist. It is believed that positivists view the world as being out there and available for study in more or less static form. Now, let us see some of the basic assumptions of PSS or positivist social science. Number one, it contains an empirical, realist ontology referring to the world as observable, measurable, and quantifiable phenomena. It proposes that objective reality can be known using experiments, observations, surveys, and statistics. Number two, it refers to seeking knowledge by experiencing reality, that is, observing. Number three, knowledge is not affected by subjective beliefs of the researcher. So, reality is external and knowledge is objective. That is what positivists believe in. Number four, they believe that scientific research leads to explanation and prediction through quantitative methods with deductive analysis, that is, making predictions based on prior information. They use hypothetico-deductive method, which refers to a method of formulating a hypothesis based on existing theories that can be put to test and which can be verified using observed data.